The pick is in.
With the 9th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. Let's bring in Locked On New Orleans Saints host Ross Jackson to break that pick down. Ross, for you, was it a surprise that the Saints went with an old lineman at 9?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look, new head coach Kellen Moore is all about building from the inside out. It's been the mantra this entire offseason. General manager Mickey Loomis brought it up again during his pre-draft press conference. He's a Philadelphia Eagles former offensive coordinator, had a great offensive line with Philly, had a phenomenal offensive line with Dallas as well. Now an opportunity to build that offensive line here in New Orleans and get things started with his offense and his system. This was the pick that not just the position we expected, but actually the pick that we expected over at Locked On Saints. So this is no surprise at all. This is the mechanism to building a winning team, is to build in the trenches.
Indeed, indeed. And while Banks Jr. is known for his run blocking ability, Ross, there have been some questions about his struggles in pass pro. So does he have enough of a base for you, for offensive line coach, Saints offensive line coach Brendan Nugent, to really kind of work with and develop?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, this is a young guy that's really athletic, maybe not as athletic as some of the other top offensive linemen in this class, but certainly was a player that we knew was going to go a lot higher than maybe the media board suggested and the media mock suggested. And he's somebody that immediately comes in, as you mentioned, polishes a run blocker. That's kind of going to be the game here in New Orleans. The Saints have no resolution at this moment in terms of who their quarterback is. And so if they're going with a young quarterback, expect the Saints to run the ball a lot in 2025. And so having these stud offensive linemen that help them kind of figure things out. I expect Taliesin Fuanga, last year's first round pick, to probably move back to his natural position at right tackle. Potentially here you can see Kelvin Banks Jr. slotting in at left tackle, his natural position where he played 42 games over in Texas. But we'll see which direction they go. The idea here is you get another offensive line, you figure out who your 5 best guys are, and you get them out there. And so he's going to have to make some of that development in the pass game, but he's not as raw as, say, a Trevor Penning was a few years ago back in the 2022 NFL draft when they took him along with wide receiver Chris Olave. So a little bit more to work with, and somebody that has been one of those players that has just gotten better and better and better. And here's the other thing too, durable. Hasn't missed one. He missed one game, and it was just that SEC championship game at the end of the season. That was the first game that he's missed since high school. The New Orleans Saints had a ton of injuries on the offensive line last year. Kelvin Banks will be a very welcome departure from that story.
Yeah, and you think about, Ross, all of the commentary that was around when Kelvin Banks Jr. wasn't able to make that game. It told you just how important he was to that Texas offense indeed. But you threw it out there, so I'm throwing it back at you. The Saints have a lot of holes to fill, including some question marks as to who is going to be under center for them, who's going to be QB1, if you will, when the season starts. Do you feel like that and some of those other holes to fill makes you think that maybe they're not done yet in this round?
I think it's very possible that they're not done yet in this first round. Look, like you said, the biggest question mark is at the most important position, and that's quarterback right now. The Saints have a talented young quarterback in the room already in Spencer Rattler, but he was last year's draft selection. If the New Orleans Saints and new head coach Kellen Moore fall in love with the guy that they like towards the end of the back half of this first round, I would absolutely expect them to be in pursuit of a trade to get back up to go and grab whoever that quarterback might be. A couple of names to watch are going to be Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart, as well as Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck. If one of those guys ends up being available late in this draft, expect the New Orleans Saints to start working the phones, trying to move up from that number 40 overall selection in the second round.
And it's very possible, Ross, because obviously in watching the board so far, there really hasn't been any type of run on QB. So if the New Orleans Saints decide to go in that direction, at least as of now, it is trending favorably for them. Appreciate the time, Ross. For continuing coverage of our New Orleans Saints, subscribe to Locked On Saints wherever you get your podcast. And for more on Kelvin Banks Jr., let's hear from Locked On Longhorns host Jonathan Davis, who spent a lot of time covering Kelvin Banks Jr. up close.
Kelvin Banks is the best left tackle to come out of the University of Texas in almost 3 decades, and he is more than worthy of being your team's first-round pick. What's up, guys and gals? BK Brad Kellner from Locked On Longhorns here with a quick draft profile of Texas left tackle Kelvin Banks. For my money, the best offensive lineman in this class. If you don't believe me, go back to 2022. Banks' freshman season at Texas. The Longhorns were hosting Alabama, and Banks was tasked with blocking then Alabama, now Houston Texans Pro Bowl edge rusher Will Anderson Jr. Banks dominated that matchup in only his second career game. Anderson jumped off sides 3 or 4 times because he got so frustrated that he couldn't beat Banks. Banks won the Lombardi Award, the Outland Trophy, and was a first-team All-America last season with good reason. If you're looking for your team's answer at left tackle for the next decade, look no further than Kelvin Banks. For more on the Longhorns, subscribe to Locked On Longhorns on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.